Okay, so here we go with day 3 of the setup process for the Red Sea Max 250. It is just to refresh your memory if you haven't watched the other videos or whatever. It is a 65 and a half gallon, 250 liter, all-inclusive, all-enclosed system. It's a reef tank system set up with 2 pumps for circulation, a protein skimmer, a heater, and a fully enclosed unit with a top that covers the entire tank, some cooling fans in the back that run off of power, 1 cord going into the whole system, and then everything branches off to the pumps and etc. from there. So it's really a clean unit. The wiring and etc. is not exposed at all, and at some point in one of the future videos I will show you all of the setup as far as the internal workings of the tank. But at the moment I'm going to show you the tank. It's getting a little cloudy, maybe starting the nitrogen cycle. Don't know for sure, haven't done any measurements, but in case it is, I want to get the rest of the live rock from my 30-gallon tank moved into it to help propagate, move along the cycle, and get things rolling. I did install a thermometer today to check the temperature, and I will turn the camera around now and show you a little bit as far as what's going on. So there's the tank. Unfortunately the video doesn't really show the milkiness or the cloudiness of the tank. You can see, however, especially on the left side here, how much circulation there is, and as I pan around here you can see also the trench that pump on the left side, which is the bigger of the 2 pumps, has dug into the sand bed. So I'm going to have to block a little of that flow off with some of the live rock, and hopefully that'll keep the flow moving but won't cause the sand bed to get stirred up all the time. In fact, I don't know if you can see it, but there's sand constantly moving due to the flow. I also wanted to let you know that the spec sheet on this tank had 2 different size pumps, and both the pumps that came with the system were actually about 200, I want to say, liters per hour bigger than the tanks that the spec sheet said were coming with it. I also did install a thermometer. The probe for it there is at the back of the tank, and I don't know if you can see it, it's got a little light on it. It's right there. The tank right now is at 79.5 degrees, which in a normal reef system isn't too bad. Probably going to crank that up a little bit to help move the process forward. Currently I have both pumps, obviously the lights running. I do not have the protein skimmer turned on, nor do I have the heater turned on. So what's going to happen? We're going to take all of the coral that's in this tank momentarily and move, I shouldn't say all of it, most of the coral in this tank, and move it into this bucket of salt water that I mixed up last night and have let set, only because that helps get the chlorine out of it. I'm going to take these 2 PVC pipes, cut them down into little smaller pieces, and with that cutter, and by the way, if you choose to do this, I happen to have this cutter from some plumbing projects that I've done in the past, but cutting PVC with one of these pipe cutters is a heck of a lot easier and a lot cleaner than cutting it with a saw or some type of other grinder or whatever. So no flecks of PVC laying all over the place. I can actually cut it on this table with no mess. But anyway, enough on that. Anyway, I'm going to put the coral into this bucket, into this little bin here, full of salt water. I am going to take the live rock, the majority of it, out of that tank, put it in a bucket, quickly move it into the other tank, start building my reef in the other tank, which I would like to do with the coral, but unfortunately, being things as they are, that's not possible. I also have a little issue. Wanted to point out, I have a fairly happy anemone sitting back there. You can see the clowns near there. I don't know which rock he's attached to, so I'm going to have to be very careful when I get to that area so I don't break him loose, because when the time comes that rock is going to remain in the 30 gallon until he and the rock are ready to move. I definitely don't want to upset him and take a chance of really doing some damage by knocking him loose from the rock. So anyway, I'm going to get to cutting some PVC pipe, moving some coral, and also moving the rock over here into the Red Sea Max 250. So I'll be back at you as that process gets fired up. Okay, this will just be a short clip, then we'll get back to work, but I wanted to show you I've got all the live rock removed from the 30 gallon tank. As you can see, it looks a lot prettier in the tank than it does in a bucket, but we'll be putting that in here in just a short minute, in addition to all the rock that is in the 66 gallon Red Max 250 system. So I'm going to scan over here real quick and then we'll shut the camera off and show you what I've done with the coral. I was going to show you the coral that I had in the bucket that I transitioned them to, but unfortunately I didn't want to leave them in there too long. So anyway, you can see I've got some of the torch coral and the hammer up on sticks. They will have tentacles that come out, and they are a little aggressive as well, but more than anything I wanted them to not be in the sand when their tentacles come out. So we'll see what happens here. I may have to move some of them around depending on how they react with the coral around them. But anyway, that's what the 30 gallon looks like. I'm going to have to add a little water to it later in the day. And back over here, we're going to get ready to put that live rock in that fish tank. So we'll be back at you soon once the reef is built. Okay, this is the final sequence for the day. I have the live rock in the tank. Built a little rock reef wall in the back. It looks a little plain and vanilla right now because there are no coral in there and no fish and etc. And I do have some other things that will be moved from the old 30 gallon tank to the new 66 gallon tank here in just a minute. Again, this is a Red Sea Max 250 liter, 65.5, 66 gallon reef system tank. You'll see that there is a little filter cartridge hanging there in front of the rock on the left side. That is the filter media from my 30 gallon tank, which was due for a water change that I'll tell you about here in just a minute. It is in cycle. It looks much cloudier for real than it does in this video, but on the table here I do have the test kits for the 4 main elements that you test for when you're testing your saltwater tank, and it's a little hard to tell, but the one on the left is ammonia, the second one is nitrates, the third one to the right is nitrite, and the far one, the darker one on the right hand side, is the pH level. I'm very fortunate that the pH level in my tap water is almost perfect for a reef system, which is 8.4. It runs 8.2 to 8.4 out of the tap. So anyway, I do also have a woman's nylon and a filter media cartridge from the 30 gallon tank, which I will tell you about here in a minute. Moving over to the 30 gallon tank, this tank had a 90 gallon hang-on filter, which included 2 filter cartridges, similar, not similar, actually the same as the one you saw there on the table. I removed one of those today, which looks like that right there, and put it in a woman's nylon, and that is what you see hanging in the tank right there. So that is supposed to help build up the bacteria in the tank and make the cycle process go quicker. So we'll see what happens. The ammonia level is up slightly, and we'll see if it changes into the nitrogen part of the cycle here later tomorrow. So keep checking back, and thanks for watching.